And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside Los
Angeles. I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality?
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Guys, thank you for being patient. Sometimes shit just doesn't work around here. That's what happens with live internet broadcasting. You know, when I was on the radio, if something didn't work, there were like 7 backups, including a satellite backup through ABC. So if their satellite hookup, which went through ISDN, which some of you guys may know what that is, but it was a very special type of phone line when copper was being used back in the day, would send up my feed to satellite. If for some reason that satellite didn't work, we were then able to bounce it off another satellite, which is crazy. Here, if something doesn't work online, you're fucked. That's just the way that it is. But guys, welcome to the show. The guy on my left, if you're viewing, and you are viewing the show, is Joe Tillman, the original hair transplant mentor, the guy who has really helped to, I believe, bring another dimension to this broadcast, and has kind of taken a lot of pressure off of me, thank God.
At least I've done something.
Because he's answering all your questions. A lot of you guys have questions about surgical hair restoration. And really, I personally believe, excuse me, guys, that discussing, that is really loud. Why was that so loud? Is that better? How's that? That's good. That discussing surgical hair restoration as really kind of a main focus of the broadcast is probably the most important thing to talk about. At least as far as saving people from being fucked up. It's one thing to let people know what's happening as far as new advancements, new potential treatments, all that wonderful stuff. But currently we have 2 FDA-approved products. We have one FDA-approved drug that is not FDA-approved for hair loss, but for another indication, which we know works. We have low-level laser light therapy, which some people are saying that it works. There's some data showing that it might. We have platelet-rich plasma therapy when performed correctly with the right PRP system, and if you're the right candidate, can help. I've seen some really significant results from PRP, and I was very skeptical at the beginning. And we have surgical hair restoration. That is really what we have right now. And sadly, the most dangerous of all of these treatments is surgical hair restoration. And that's why we focus so much on guiding you guys in a safe direction. And again, and Joe, I'll ask you about this, but I was in a dental chair today, 2 different dentists, checking an issue that I have out because I'm a nut job. And I can't just go to one dentist. This is actually my 3rd. But I can't just go to one dentist. I have to go to several. And this is just for a tooth, mind you. Okay? Now, I have to have different consultations, different appointments. I bring my CT scan, which is a kind of a low radiation type of head CT that they do in dentist's office now. It gives you a 3D scan of your entire mouth, jaw, and all, holes in your head and all that shit. So I'm driving around Beverly Hills from doctor to doctor. I don't care how much it costs me. And this is just to make sure that whatever work I need done on that tooth is being done correctly, and I'm able to assess all these different opinions and then make an educated decision on what I'm going to do. Worst case scenario, if they fuck up my tooth, then it's fucked up. You know, teeth are fixable. Not the same with hair.
No.
Your hair is fucked up. There's a good chance you're never going to have the final result that you would have had if you had it done right the first time. Go ahead, Joe.
True in my own case. Like, if I didn't have the 2 procedures I had and turned into a repair case, I would have had I can't say a completely different outcome, but chances are it would have been better than it is now. Different approach, whole 9 yards. But I was listening to your discussion or your description of how you've been to two dentists today. 3 in total in less than a week.
Yes, I'm going to another one tomorrow.
And you're going to a 4th one tomorrow.
Right.
I strongly believe that if most people searching for hair restoration options were a fraction of that thorough, as thorough as you are with your tooth issue, that would solve a majority of the issues that we're seeing online today.
And you also have to understand that dentists, at least not yet, and there are some who may, there's no free consultation. It's not a fucking commodity. Now, you do see these like implant centers and veneer centers and all this stuff. When you start seeing that, big companies advertising on television, that's when you got to start to realize, oh shit, even this industry is starting to change.
Yeah.
And those are the guys, in my view, that you want to avoid. If you're seeing a doctor, you're not paying a consultation fee. While I know that is pretty much the norm, and it is, because it's been commoditized, I don't think it's a good idea. I actually, when I speak to my IHRS members, I suggest that they charge a consultation fee so that so it's worth their while to spend 45 minutes or 30 minutes or however long they need to take with the patient, as opposed to rushing them in or just having a consultant do the work. When I see patients online who are complaining about a consultation fee like it's highway robbery, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
I just paid $100 to go get my eyes checked last week.
Dude.
With a doctor that I've been to before for surgery.
I get it.
It's like, I was happy to. $95, please. Here. What I know he's the best.
What I tell guys to do is they have to factor in all of their consultations into their if they decide to have surgery, into their surgery.
Yeah.
So you set aside between $500 and $1,000 just for consultations. I know that seems steep for most people, but that $1,000, if you did spend $1,000 and had 8 consultations or 7 consultations, and then you decide not to have surgery for some reason, that is the best $1,000 you've ever spent.
Exactly. Yeah, no question. I mean, how many times have we talked to guys over the years that have called in? Well, I gave my deposit with Clinic X, and now I'm learning more, and I need your advice. And we're like, ditch it.
Yeah,
just ditch it. Ditch that deposit. It's the best money you never spent, or that you ever lost. And then they'll contact us later on and say, Jesus, I'm so glad I lost $1,000.
Oh, and I just got a DM on Twitter saying that, well, you're rich. First of all, don't contact. I just happen to have Twitter open. I normally don't check it.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not going to say whether I'm rich or not. I mean, rich is all relative. I have a rich life. I enjoy a lot of things in life. But just because I have a little money in the bank, because I worked hard, there was a time when there was no money. People don't just become rich. People don't just become in general. I would have done this.
That's beside the point, though.
I would have done this on a credit card as a kid.
Yeah.
And paid that shit off.
Well, you did, basically. I mean, not. I don't know if you use a credit card, but you were paying for consultations when you're first doing your research.
I was. I mean, I was a young entrepreneur. So I actually talked about this in a talk that I gave at this plastic surgery conference. So I was kind of in a unique position as a 21, 22, 23-year-old kid that most guys weren't. And that position was this. I had the money. I already earned the money to get anything I wanted to have done.
Yeah.
not have to borrow from my parents, not have to put it on credit, not have to take out financing. And even with that ability, I chose not to do anything, where most kids that age would have done it. And it's because I did take the time to have all these consultations. And I was like, there's something wrong here, man. Those before and after pictures look like shit. They're dark. Your hair doesn't look too good, Doc. What's going on? This whole thing is really like smoke and mirrors.
You know, the interesting...
And guys, I'm sorry. Hold on. We'll take your calls in a second. 888-659-3727. And the UK callers can call 0203-3724. What is that? 683. Yeah.
And EU and the world can Skype into, I think, the North American number, maybe the UK number as well.
Right. Oh, and by the way, just to let you, and before I cut you off, hopefully by next week, I will have the Skype set up here on my main machine for you, and then use the secondary machine, which is actually across the studio, for Skype callers. Now, I'm still struggling on whether or not I'm going to allow people to pop their faces up, because I know that at some point there's going to be some junk on the screen.
I was going to say junk or someone with their pants down mooning us.
Right. But here's the good news.
To give you ideas.
Here's the good news. I can actually see that on the other monitor beforehand. So I'm hoping that if we do open that up, there will be people who are willing to put their faces out there, talk to us, and it'll add a new dimension to the show that nobody does.
Yet again.
Yet again, yeah.
Anyway, what was I saying? So someone to criticize the idea of paying for consultation, or like I said, setting aside several $100 to finance these, to pay for these consultations as they're doing research and paying for different avenues of learning. It's like, if you can't afford to do that, then how can you afford to do a surgery to begin with? Unless you're going to pay 2,000 euros for an all-inclusive as many grafts as possible, which you can buy over the course of using WhatsApp. That's different.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing that to begin with. When you can use your phone to text message with a clinic and book a surgery without ever picking up the like actually calling them and talking to them, just to send photos, that's a bad idea to begin with. But if you want to take this seriously, and you want to, actually understand this is an investment in your long-term existence on this planet and how you look, then setting aside some funds to fund a consultation and to fund your research is a small thing.
Right.
It really is.
I agree with that, and it disheartens me when I hear and I see these guys, especially young guys, who are like, oh, this guy is, he's a ripoff. He's charging $150 or $200 for a consultation. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. Let's take a call. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
This is Roy from Norman, Oklahoma.
Hey, Roy from Oklahoma.
Hello, Roy.
What's happening?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Talking to you guys.
All right, well, welcome.
Yeah. And Joe kind of knows my situation a little bit, but I can kind of go over it without mentioning any names of the doc,
You can go over it. You can mention names. You can do whatever the fuck you want. That's what the show's about.
Okay.
It's a safe place.
Okay. Well, I've had 2 strips done probably about 8-9 years ago, and the guy did a good job. I mean, I was happy with it. I was pleased. Then I kind of wanted a little bit more, so I made the blunder that you guys talked about, not checking things out. I went to Atlanta and had the FUE done, and it was not a good. It was expensive and not a good situation. So the fourth time, I went to another place, and again.
Oh, wait a second. Did I just hear you say 4 times? I'm sorry, I was reading something.
Yeah, four time. The fourth time. Yeah, this is. So I had 2 strips, one FUE, and then this 4 times.
Now, just out of curiosity, I know you wanted more hair, but how did the strips go?
I thought they were okay. You know, I think he did a good job. I mean, he filled in a lot of stuff, and I was pleased with it. And you know, I maybe I was too greedy. Maybe I was losing some of that hair, you know, from the strips over time. And I had such a good experience with this doc that I thought, and he had told me, you know, if you want to come back for a third, you can. And then he switched his practice. He's a dermatologist, so he switched over to pretty much a dermatology practice, so he didn't do it anymore. So
are you talking about Dr. Lair?
Yeah, in Oklahoma City, yeah.
Well, because I knew everything, dude. I know everything. I could read your fucking mind.
Wow, it's scary.
Blaine Lair,
I want you to read my mind, because then you'll know, you know.
Well, Dr. Blaine Lair actually trained with Otar Norwood, and he was one of the old school, really good guys. Young guy at the time. I mean, when I knew him, and he contacted me and said, "Look." And it was interesting because, and I'm sure he has no problem that I'm saying this, but he didn't like the direction that the industry was going in.
Yeah.
And he chose to stick to his roots, which were, you know, dermatology and dermatological surgery, besides hair transplant surgery, and just go in that direction. And I actually think it was a smart move on his part. He wasn't worried about the money. He just wanted to do what he liked to do.
Yeah, and Norm was in the office when he had finished up, and Norm said, "This is a heck of a job, you know." So, and what I liked about him is he told me everybody wants more hair in the front, and he said, "No, you know," and he was so. I mean, the price was so reasonable. I mean, I think it was like $2,000. I know he gave me a discount because I'm a physician as well, and so, but I didn't ask for a discount, and so it was like, and of course the other ones I had, the other two. Unhappy experiences. They were like around the area of $10,000, $11,000.
Well, I will say that I miss having Dr. Lair as an IHS member, and also he was just a really good guy, an example for the entire field. And I feel that it was a great loss to the field. They decided not to do it anymore. But
I was lucky to get him.
Yeah.
And he's a genuine person. I mean, he cares about you, and he really does care. When you're in that chair, you can tell there's some compassion. And I didn't get that the other two. And I mean,
I was actually considering making him, and we spoke about this. My assistant senior medical advisor, and that's kind of when he started to talk to me about his, thinking about retiring. So anyway, that's how much respect I have for the guy, and I'm glad you at least had 2 good experiences. So tell me about your third.
Okay, the third was in Atlanta, and it was a disaster. The guy has definitely some psychological problems, and it was a very uncomfortable situation. In fact, he walked out on the procedure when it was 1/3 done, and the girls had to do the rest. I didn't want any medication. I didn't want any Valium, which Dr. Lear offered, and I told him, no, it's okay, and he was fine with it. He said that's unusual, but most people want to kind of get a little loopy so they don't feel it. And the third guy in Atlanta, he made no issue of it. So I was awake the whole time. And
you're so different than me, dude. If those pills are offered to me, I'm taking them. I want to ask for some to take home.
Okay. Well, I'm the opposite. I could get some of that stuff, but I don't want it. So, but because I always think side effects and whatnot.
I fucking love that stuff. That's why I can't have it around. Anyway, that's my problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, but so then it was a very uncomfortable situation because he just walked off, and so I talked to staff after because they were feeling kind of bad about it too, and they told me the horror stories, and so anyways, I came back and just kind of settled down, didn't do any other thought of having anything done, and then I got online and I saw this other place, and it sounded, they had two guys talking there, and it sounded like it was, probably a good situation. Good situation. I didn't check it out as I should have, and it's my mistake. And so I went down there, and I kind of got a little feeling that maybe it wasn't on the up and up right from the beginning. But I was happy, to not have to go that far away. And they were telling me, "Oh, we have an appointment, and somebody just canceled from Europe, from England." So right away I go, "Okay, well, maybe that's a phony thing." But anyways, I got in a very short period of time. And,
maybe. Come on, that's how the industry works. I can tell you this: there are guys who are booked out for months, or claim to be booked out for months. And these are even some really good guys, some guys who I would work with, whatever it is. If you walk into their office, there is a chance that you will get a call back in a day or two with a cancellation.
I see, yeah.
Joe, I don't know how you feel about that, but that's based on me being in the industry for more than 20 years.
Well, it's like this. There's usually, like any good clinic will have a list of patients that have said, if you do have like any sort of cancellation, please let me know. But if you just walked in, and then they call you the next day, it means they don't have a list of people waiting to get in.
Right.
And in many cases, there ain't no guy that just canceled his procedure. They just have an opening.
Right, yeah. Well, I kind of smelled that a little bit, but I didn't. I just said, well. So anyways, I went there, and so the guy that was sort of the salesman part, he picked me up at the hotel and got to the place, and secretary was nice, and so basically the doc came in sort of at the last minute. I didn't have any consultations in there. So I told...
Let me ask you a question. What type of a physician? Are you a physician or are you...
a psychiatrist.
You're a psychiatrist. Okay, so but you are an MD.
Yes.
Okay, so you went to medical school. You got all the same training as these guys.
I'm licensed. Yeah, I'm licensed, and I work here in Oklahoma, yeah. So I thought, maybe mistakenly, I'm a physician, he's a physician. Well, I'll have a little insight, more of it. But it didn't work out that way.
And you're a shrink. You should be able to see the
apparently not a good one.
The warning signs.
The warning signs and the what's the word I'm looking for? The psychopathy. Jesus, why can't I think of the word?
I think, I just think when you want something, if you want a car or something and you see that bright, shiny car out there, you tend to get stupid, or you tend to just kind of, and maybe I'm a little gullible and trusting, which is
that's just the way it works with everyone.
Well, listen, and again, I'm certainly not here to judge you or to blame you, and I understand the vulnerability of anybody, but it just goes to show you, even a learned man, a well-educated MD, someone who essentially makes their living assessing other people's mental capacity and dealing with their issues and helping them, deal with certain psychological deficiencies and issues. Even a guy like you can make a mistake.
Yeah. Well, and that's how some people learn that way, and some people are able to learn before they make the mistake. But anyway, he came in and was a very brief meeting, and I told him the situation that I wanted the hair where it was needed most, which was the crown, and then up in the parietal area would be second, the top of the head. And then if there's any left over, put it in the front. Because everybody wants hair in the front, but only if there's enough, left over. It has to be where the crown has to be the first attention goes to that area. So he felt and I told him, this is my last roundup. I've had 2 strips. I don't think I want another one. Maybe can't even have another one. So this is it, and I told that to the so-called salesman before that, and so I felt it was evident, and it's what I wanted. So he felt around the flexibility of the scalp and said, pretty much it's no problem. We can do all areas. So I felt really comfortable. So then the other part came, which I really wasn't happy with, was he gave me this little cup and said, here's your medication. And I said, well, I don't really need anything. I understand that you have to take an antibiotic for this, but I said I don't need anything that's going to dull me, or I really would prefer being awake. And he said pretty much that he couldn't go forward unless I took this. Now I brought this up to the salesman before that, and he said, don't worry, this doc's he's very flexible. Whatever you want, he's going to do for you. So it's not a problem. And I told him about the medication that I didn't need before, and I don't think I need it now. I know I don't need it now. And so, but he pretty much told me unless I take it. So I had flown there. You stay in the hotel the night, and so you got this person in a very uncomfortable position where they're going to get up and leave. So I took it, and so that was something that really ticked me off.
See, again, for me, just and again, this is just me. If I had made that very clear to, as you put it, the salesperson, and then the doctor, it wasn't conveyed to the physician, and the physician was that forceful. Being an MD yourself, and him knowing you're a doctor, I would have been like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I should have done that.
And I'll see you on Yelp.
I should have done that. I absolutely agree with you 100%. and I kicked myself. But you get in a situation where you trust doctors, and
I actually had a whole conversation with a periodontist today, saying how I can't trust doctors, and I'm sorry if I'm asking you so many questions, but you have to understand the position that I'm in. And this guy was great, by the way. But yeah, I don't trust anybody, especially doctors.
Yeah, well, you're right. And after this experience, I've become more wise in that.
I barely trust Joe. I'm just starting to trust him a little bit.
Well, I don't know if what
know each other 15 years.
I've been married twice, so I should. We try sometimes, and we end up getting burned on it,
Oh, yeah.
But so anyways, I took the medication, and and so then I went down in the prone position, and they took the strip out, and then after that, I got in the chair, and I tell you, I was gone. I was out, and I don't remember anything. And then the next thing I remember.
Do you know what medication you were given?
No, I don't. I don't even know what it was. And so.
What about your case log? Did you get a copy of your case log? I mean,
no, I didn't. No, okay. No. But I can't even get my pictures.
You're a doctor. I'm sorry.
That's what's so irritating with this situation. I mean, I agree. That.
And look, I'm giving you shit for just so that our listeners and our viewers can really get an idea of really what they should be doing.
Yeah, and I don't mind you giving me grief because I give myself grief. That's how you have to take some responsibility for your mistakes. I mean, they're not all your responsibility, but you have to take some of it.
Right.
I want to interrupt and just kind of reinforce what you just said. That's a very, very well. I think it's a very important statement that you made, that you do need to own up on some of your own decisions on this. I mean, it's not all of it, obviously, but situations like this, it's like you as an MD, you especially know better, but even you were kind of. I don't want to say coerced, but it's more like the influence by what I call the white coat syndrome, where the doctor is saying, just do it. You're already there. It's like everything is going on in a way that it's almost like you're there's probably some sort of psychiatric terminology for this, but you're moving forward in a cloud. You're just doing what you're told. It's this related to like a herd mentality. But even though you're only one there, you're just being what just doing what you're told. And
even their environment, I noticed when I have my own patients, I have an advantage because they're in my space, they're in my environment. So and then you think, well, you don't want to lose this guy, and you've flown all the way here, and you've got you've got all this stuff on the internet you've heard from him. Not from him personally, but from his salesman and the other guy, and so it seems like kind of a folksy kind of atmosphere where everybody's, So anyways, I woke up, and the thing that was one of the selling point was the doctor does all the work. He does all the work. He's an artist, and he does all the work, and blah, blah, blah. And that's not a big deal because when I was with Dr. Lear, he didn't do all. He was up seeing some dermatology patients. The girls were doing the work. So that's not a big issue. But it was told to me that he does all the work. And so when I wake up, probably 30 minutes before they were finished, maybe 20 minutes, the girls are working on me. They're putting in stuff, and they're putting the hairs and the grafts in the front. So, I'm thinking, well, what's going on? So I get out of the chair, and next thing I know, they're giving me a shot. I've already told them I really don't need anything, and that shot was Toradol, and that medication I'm familiar with. It's like it's like Motrin, and it's for pain. I did not need it. The procedure was done. So
well, they kind of do that. They kind of do that prophylactically, so that when the nerve block or the lidocaine wears off, that when you go back to your hotel, you're going to be feeling less pain. So
absolutely, but I don't care about the pain. I don't care about it. I'm just going through the results. I even told the doctor, I said, listen, I don't care about. I said another stupid thing. I said, I'm here. This is my last roundup. If you want to put some more in, I'm willing to pay for it. So money's not an issue, which it really wasn't. A couple of $1,000s more or something is better to have it done, get everything you want done there than have to go through all those shots of numbing him up, which is, kind of painful. And then, so I wanted to just get everything done. So anyways, I'm getting the Toradol shot. I didn't need it. I didn't ask for it. I already told them I don't want it. And there I'm getting another injection. And not injection. The other ones were pills, but I got this injection. So then
I got to go to this doctor just for the pills and the injections.
I'm telling you,
because this guy is free with it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you don't want them, that's the problem.
No,
if you want them, then. So, anyways, So what happened was, then I go back to the hotel. I come back the next morning. They clean me up. Sitting around with the sales guy and the girls and the secretary. The doc is not there. I didn't even see him after the procedure, which I think is really wrong. Any doctor that does anything on you, any procedure, should be there when you wake up, explaining what happened, how everything went, the pros, the cons, everything like that. It prevents a lot of problems from happening in the future. Well, he's gone. He's gone. The next day I go to get cleaned up. More pictures. He's gone. He's not there either. So the girls take the pictures and they clean me up. They do a good job, taking the tape off, which, as gentle as they can. And so I go back to the hotel and fly back home. So I get back, and I look at the crown when I get back. My son's looking at it. My buddy, who's a physician's looking at it, and he says, Roy, there's really no hair put in the crown at all. And I go, oh, God. So I didn't say too much. I just said, let's just wait. And but I did.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
What was your observation? What you went in to have done, and the observation of what was done when you first looked at it.
Well, I don't think there was anything. But the stitches need to come out. So my buddy, who's a physician, I didn't want to fly down there to get the stitches. I said, he's really good. He's worked in the ER. He said, I'll take the stitches out. So he took them out, and he's looking back there, and he says, I don't see any. And he grabs back there. So I'm getting kind of concerned. So then I sent some emails to the salesman, because he says he's always available. Well, which he was. before the procedure. After the procedure, you can't get a return on it.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's the way that it is. Before
absolutely nothing.
Before that sale is made, and then when you sign that dotted line, up until the point you sit in that chair, that salesman, whoever it may be, is going to be holding your hand every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's time to move on to the next guy.
Right.
Now that doesn't happen in every clinic, but that is a very common theme, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, the salesman wasn't even in there holding my hand. After I got in the room, it was just the techs and the doc when he came in.
No, I'm sure he was happy to hold your credit card, though.
Yeah, exactly. So then I sent some emails and no response at all. So then 4 months, they want my pictures of 4 months. I send my 4 months pictures to them, and I get nothing, no response at all from the. I thought maybe I would get some people. Well, maybe about 2 weeks later, I got a call. I noticed on the caller ID that the office had called. So I called right away, talked to the secretary. I said, I noticed you called. It's probably about the 4 month pictures, but I just can't be. You have to tell the doc that I'll be here anytime he wants me to talk. I'll try to rearrange my schedule, but I just can't be sitting by the phone. So, anytime he calls, so tell him to call me and set ahead of time, and then I'll it doesn't have to be like to the second. It can be an hour or two, couple hours on either end, but I'll make sure that I'm here. Well, she said I'll relay the message. Well, nothing happened. So then we're getting close to like the 6 months period now, and I still haven't heard anything from them. So I sent an email. I sent an email of some complaints, that I wasn't happy about the medication. When I asked, I didn't. He said he would not go through unless I took it. I wasn't happy about that. I had paid $8,800 for the work. He said there was about 1,500 grafts. And I'm not seeing, what I thought I was going to get, especially from the Crown. And so,
this was a strip.
Yes, it was a strip. Yeah. And I wanted the FUE, but they were telling me no, that's not the way to go, and you'll get more bang for your buck, and blah blah blah. So,
that's not untrue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I listened to your show, and I know you. This other fellow who went to the same place I went to ended up going to Dr. Cooley and had a real good experience. He went to the same guy I went to and had a terrible experience. And I called Dr.
Here's the
Cooley's
thing. I have a feeling I know the guy that you're talking about just based on what you just said right now. So, just so you know, I am in the middle of some talks. And I think the concern that I'm having is something has changed in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, that I was not made aware of until relatively recently. Something is going on in that practice. Now, I don't know if it has to do with the new sales force, the new type of marketing, if there's something happening in the doctor's personal life. But this is a doctor who rarely got a complaint. And the complaints were usually very common types of complaints, like, they felt that maybe they had unrealistic expectations, or the reality wasn't fully explained to them of what they'd be getting for, say, 1,000 grafts or 1,500 grafts. Shit like that, just the common stuff. But what I'm hearing now is a little disturbing. I just want to let you know that. So this isn't falling on deaf ears.
Yeah. And I called Dr. Cooley's office the other day because I wanted to find out. I might have to go to them, And so I wanted, and the lady was real nice. Her name was Lolly, And she explained to me, and she gave me the same thing. Sometimes, we recommend we recommend the strip. So I know that is true.
Mm-hmm.
But so that I agree with that. Except nobody who wants to go through a strip method. You're going.
Look, I was just asked in the chat room who the doctor was, if it was McGrath, and listen, I'm very honest. The answer is yes. Yeah. I don't know what's happening. To be completely candid with you, something is going wrong because this is number 2 in the last.
I think it's 3.
Thank you, Joe. I think.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I think it's 3 in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Not only is it unacceptable in my view, it's extremely unusual. Something is going on, and
it even gets worse. To tell you the truth.
Tell me. Talk to me.
If it could not get any worse than this. So what happened was, he sent me an email saying, I'm sorry that I did not get your email. You didn't pay attention to your emails. I didn't see them, which was kind of a lie. I kind of got caught. Because I know he saw them because there was some other email that I can't remember what it was. But anyways, he said, I'm more of a phone person. I'm, blah, blah. I'm not a, but I apologize for that. And let's have a conversation, about it. And so I said, yes, we can, and then he said, another email, and he says, your complaint about it not being the crown wasn't attended to. He said, I think we're kind of not on the same page on that. So let's talk. So I set up a time. He called me last week. And it was a little bit of a spirited conversation because no one was screaming and yelling, but I was irritated and I didn't go into a lot about the other complaints because I forwarded those emails to him, so he'd have those. I mainly was complaining about the area in the crown that wasn't attended to. So I don't even know how to go about this other thing. So I said, okay. So I said, can you please send me the pictures that were taken after the procedure? And he agreed. He says, yes, I'll send them all to you. So right away I felt better, because that way I'm going to see. Well, yeah. Within a couple of minutes, I'm getting pictures that he took before the procedure, which I did not ask for. So I emailed him back. I said, no, I need the ones after, the post-op.
Showing the placement.
Yes, exactly. So he said, well, I don't even know we have any of those. And I go, yes, we do. I remember. They were taken the day after. And I know the room they were the same room that the pictures, that the pre-op pictures are. So I get a picture. Now, this is kind of weird. I get a picture that I don't think it's me. And I sent the picture to Joe. That's why I wanted Joe to see it, because I don't want to be accusing somebody of something that may not be accurate. But it doesn't, because I have pictures of my head at 4 months, and I'm looking at this picture, and it doesn't, no one's hair could grow in. My hair was not that bad. That picture that he sent me, that guy's got a bald spot, that's all. That's, man, it's like a not like a dinner plate, but it's like a small dinner plate. And I never had a ball. And he didn't do any shaving.
It's also easy to tell. You can tell by, depending on where the picture is, the shape of the back of your ear. If that's in the shot, you can tell by any marks on your scalp.
Well, that's what I'm suspicious of, because he's only sending me that picture. I don't get any side pictures. I don't get any front pictures. I don't get any of the top of the head. If you can get, this picture is kind of
what about the back of your ear?
They're covered up with hair and the beauty marks on my back, beauty marks, moles, whatever. They don't match. And I sent those pictures to Joe.
What?
To see what I sent them to Joe because I wanted Joe to see.
That's why I asked. If they don't, holy shit. If the marks on your back, we all have a certain number of moles all over our body. If those marks do not match up, unless all of a sudden you developed, basal cell carcinomas or something all over your back, it's unlikely that the moles are going to change.
And I sat after that, and I said, my son was telling me, Dad, there's no way you're going to get those pictures. There's no way. And so sure enough, I got an email this afternoon, it says, the doctor cannot locate any more pictures. If we do find some more, we'll be sure to send them to you. And I knew if I was in Vegas and I was going to bet on that, I knew that was the response going to be. Where's my pictures? Why is this just the crown area of this? Looks like, and there's two pictures of the crown, but they're basically the same picture. But that's, but I didn't get any pictures. Why would you just take that area? And it doesn't really look like my head.
Now, did it come from his personal email, or was it sent by
Steve?
Steve?
It has my name on it. It says Roy. So it had to have my name on it. So, I'm thinking, well, if this is someone else's head, this is a HIPAA violation, someone else's head's, but that's why I sent the pictures to Joe, because I wanted to get an objective, I'm kind of in this thing subjectively. I wanted to see what Joe thought, because I didn't want to be, saying something, but boy, I looked at it, and my son looked at it and said, Dad, is that you? Is that you? And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, no, because this guy's got a big bald spot. And if you look at my pre-op shots, you don't see a bald spot like that.
Do you give permission to Joe to send me the images?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I sent him an email, but he probably didn't get a chance.
All right. So just so you know, this is you're stating this on record, and this is obviously this is being recorded. So I just want you to stay in record that you give Joe Tillman permission to send your pictures. And
absolutely. You can Joe, you can forward those pictures to you, and then maybe I can get an objective viewpoint.
And do me a favor, since I don't want to ask for your name on the phone, so if you can just send Joe a quick email, just giving him permission, just so I have record of it.
Yeah,
sure. He already has. He sent it while he was on hold, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm looking for, And
I want to.
Did you send it to me now, Joe?
Just a moment. Yeah, I've already sent it to you just 10 seconds ago.
And then my son was good enough to mark all the moles in my back to show him how there's pictures of that too, that they don't look like the same back,
Did you send it to my main email address, or did you send it to another one?
Your main email address.
I'm sorry, were you asking me?
No, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm asking you. I figure I could look at it while I talk to you.
So there's pictures of me, I believe there's pictures of me, I'll ask my son, pre-op, and then 4 months pictures, and then there's a picture of the so-called me patient in the chair. And if they took pictures, no, the pictures were not, multiple pictures were not taken in the chair. They were taken in a separate room. But this one is of someone sitting in the chair. Right. So I just wanted you guys to look at it. You might tell me I'm full of baloney,
Roy, let me just chime in with a couple of my thoughts.
I haven't gotten it yet, Joe.
I want to be clear that, and I never talked to you about this because we haven't had a chance to discuss it yet. But from what I saw, I was disturbed by what I saw, but I also wanted to give the benefit of the doubt on this. And
absolutely.
one of the things I noticed in the immediate post-op shot was that the skin tone and the color was a bit saturated. So and I'm talking about the on your skin, on your upper back where these moles were. So it's a little bit difficult to see all the details compared to the quality of the image that you compared it to, the comparison photo, right? So that is benefit of the doubt right there. But when you look at the arrangement of the moles that your son, I guess your son indicated in the secondary photo for comparison, I don't see the same pattern.
Yeah, all right, I'm looking at it now, and I will tell you that the color saturation will absolutely distort, especially the flatter, larger marks. It also shows, at least in the before picture, I think that's your before picture, because it's so saturated and has kind of a yellowish tinge.
Right.
You're not going to see any of the natural sun damage that you're going to have. So that's completely
right. I agree.
That's completely washed out. But with that said,
if you look at my picture at 4 months, there's no way that hair could grow like that in 4 months.
I agree.
I mean, my hair grows a half inch a month. That hair in that 4-month pictures is probably 4, 5, 6 inches long. And if you do a strip method, it stunts the growth. So there's no growth probably for months anyways, because the system is in such a shock. So I'm looking at the 4-month picture, and I'm looking at the picture of that person in the chair, me or not, and I'm thinking there's no way anybody's hair could grow that good in 4 months.
All right, Joe. The second image you showed me it's side by side with. I'm assuming that's just before, and that's directly after surgery, right?
That is.
That's supposed to be him before.
I sent you several. I sent you 3 emails.
I only got 2.
There's a third one coming. But no, let's see. This is
the mole situation. You could kind of say, okay, well, maybe the light bleached it out. But to me, when you look at my hair at 4 months, I mean, it looks really full there, and that guy and the one in the chair. I mean, I don't see that hair could grow that well, and that's
and Spencer, the email has got 3 photos. It's got the one photo by itself and then the side by side. Is that's one you're talking about?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Okay. So the single photo on its own, that is at 4 months. That's 4 months after any work was done.
All right. Well, here's the thing, and this is, I mean, this is just being honest. And as far as everything I know about imaging, and Joe knows a lot as well. When it comes to the scalp itself, the images I see of the scalp, it can be difficult to actually know what's going on based on the lighting and the angles and stuff like that. So it's tricky. I mean, it may look like you have more hair after 4 months than you actually have in this particular image. Now, with what I said about the moles, even though that is true, still looking at the pattern of the moles, even with the fact that so much of it's washed out, it doesn't appear, in my view, just based on these images, to be the same person in that particular image. That's comparison.
What I'm thinking. And he told me on the phone that when we talked, he said I'd put 500 grafts in your crown. And looking at that person in the chair, I don't know how many grafts that's in that. It's hard for me to judge, how many grafts that would be in there. But the thing is, to me, is
now, was your hair in the back ever that long? And I'm looking at this image. I mean, it almost looks like it's a female shoulder.
I know it does. Well, I think that has to do because there's a blue gown that cuts off the shoulders. So maybe that's what makes
Spencer, look at the side by side, the first one I sent, and you got the before image. And then on the right-hand side, you got the immediate post. Look at the hair on top of Roy's scalp in the before and compare it to right after. Roy, he does a hair dye. He's got some – I can tell he does that because he's got the gray on top. I don't see the gray the next day after surgery the next day at the end of surgery. Yeah. And it looks like it's thicker.
Look, I do see what you're saying, and I am not trying to protect anybody. I'm just like, well, okay, we know what happened after surgery. We also know that hair in the center can be essentially lost, or they may have had to shave that down in order to get those grafts in the crown. But you're telling me that you don't have those many grafts in the crown. So
he told me he gave me 500 because I was complaining about none.
Well, that looks like a lot of grafts in your crown right there. I mean, I would say it looks at least, well, maybe not 500, but it looks maybe it's about 350 to 400. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I see what Joe's talking about as far as the graying, but that's also hard to tell based on the lighting. However, what's compelling to me is that shoulder shot.
Yeah. What's compelling to me,
Joe, I don't know if you agree.
Why don't you send me all the pictures? Why am I getting just these pictures? Why don't I get pictures of the front? If you're going to do a procedure on money, why would you just take that? And then why do you all of a sudden you can't locate them? Why can't you? I mean, it's unacceptable not to be able to locate pictures after you take them. Why you just send this picture that makes you look like, that's hard, So that was, to me, it was like, come on, if you take pictures. You do this job. You can't be losing them.
Yeah.
No, you can't be losing them. And frankly, it would be incredible if you were provided with a either a thumb drive or even a disk of all images, which I know that's old school, but of all images before you go home. And that's something that I would like to maybe talk to a lot of our guys to make sure that happens, so that you have that record with you in case there's any issues. And I think that's pretty important. And I think there's a lot of lessons for me here as well.
Those pictures belong to me. You know, when you go to have a CAT scan, you go to the hospital and they'll give you a report, and you know on your X-rays.
I just had a dental CT scan, and I was like, as soon as I got that, I'm like, just give me that fucking disc. I want that. I didn't even care. I was like, I don't want to look at it right now. Just give me the disc. It looked like I had a bullet hole in the side of my head, by the way. I had to figure out what that was. But that's just that's just like an artifact, you know. Some things just bounce off. And I was like, what is that? And I'm looking at brain tumors. I am not a good patient. Let's put it that way. But no, listen, dude, I feel for you.
I mean, I can send you the email. It says, doctor cannot locate any more of your pictures. I have the email I got this afternoon. You can't locate them? You know?
Well, this is what I want. If you can send them to Joe with permission to send them to me, then I'll have all of my ducks in a row, so that when I speak to the physician, and I'm also going to speak to some of the other guys in the office, I kind of want to get an idea of what's going on and explain that this is unacceptable, because it really is. Now, the saddest part of it all is, you know, if things went right for you, you wouldn't even be asking for the pictures. You wouldn't be worrying about all this stuff. I would not
all the stress of, you know.
And I wouldn't know that any of this is going on. So in a way, I'm not saying that I'm happy that you had a poor result, but at least I'm getting some insight on what's happening in the, you know, the office setting. And it doesn't seem to be great. Now, that could all be changed very easily. There could be a protocol set, and that protocol could be followed, and we can watch that protocol. But I'm concerned now that you have to now go and feel that you need a repair surgery. So give me the exact timeline. How many months ago total? Is it 5 months? 6
I went
months?
in there like the 6th, I believe it was like the 6th of November. It was the very first week in November. And we're a little over the 6-month period now.
We're almost at the 7-month period.
All right. So what?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
So what are your results right as we speak right now? Give me the lowdown.
Well, I'm not happy with it. And I look in the mirror and I see that bald spot, you know, and that's not even to mention the top of the head, you know.
What about what grew in? Do you notice any deviation in those grafts compared to your other grafts? Do you think that the
ones in the front have grown in?
Now, are you sure? Are you sure that maybe more were in place in the front as opposed?
Oh
to...
yeah, I would definitely say that. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so you know, judging
from... He told me also, he said he put in 1,500 grafts. He said that would equal to 5,000 hairs, which to me, that's getting like 3 hairs in a graft. That doesn't always work out that way. So if I got 5,000 hairs, I mean, he should have been enough to put, you know, there was just some, you know, and he goes to stage 1, stage 2. I told him right away, Doc, that means nothing to me. Well, let me explain it to you. You know, I put 1,500 grafts, and that equals to 5,000 hairs, and so, you know.
Well, that's one of the things that I've never been a fan of is not discussing the amount of work that's being done in terms that the patient can understand. The number of grafts is the standard measurement and reference from patient to doctor, from patient to clinic, and between clinics. So. Yeah, I know there is a very small minority of clinics that discuss in that terminology that you're talking about. I think it's extremely misleading, and it really creates a curtain of confusion for patients to really get an accurate idea of what's actually
and I think that's done on purpose, because I have the paperwork and I'm reading stage 1 and stage 2, and it was always the number of grafts. So, and when I talked to him on the phone, I said, Doc, that means nothing to me. And then he, of course, went to explain it, but that's minor compared to the other stuff we've been talking about.
Well, here's what I'm contemplating right now. I mean, depending on how the conversation goes, and depending how after going back, I have to go back in the database, seeing how everything transpires. I may have to cut my bar tab in half this month. But no, I will. I just want all of you guys to know, and you especially, Roy, and anyone else who's listening who may have had a similar issue, that this isn't falling on deaf ears.
Okay.
As we speak, I am, I've already put out my feelers, and you guys will know all about it. My hope is that, here's the thing. You're obviously unhappy. The way things transpired were not great, but it's very possible, judging from what you told me, and again, I'm not trying to make excuses about anything, but judging from what your son said and the other doctor said who took out your stitches, it doesn't appear that you had many grafts, if any, placed in the crown. Maybe those 1,500 grafts were placed in the mid-anterior scalp and the hairline, and if that were the case, do you think you got a decent amount of growth?
No, not for that much. No.
Okay.
No. And he told on the phone. He's telling me, "Well, Roy, you're here."
Roy, sorry, I got to interrupt you, Spencer. We're having an issue with the streaming. I don't know if this is happening on your end as well, but I keep seeing a circle rotating in the middle of our screen because it's trying to buffer. Are you seeing the same thing?
I actually had to cut it down to 360p because I was getting that before. That's why I asked you.
Okay.
So it's possible, depending on your internet speed. I mean, we are sending a 1080p, and it actually only takes, what is the highest that it takes here?
I think it's
720.
Okay.
So it only takes 720, so it could be buffering. So anyone who's having that same problem, go to the cog on the player, and either cut down the speed to 480p or 360p. And you'll be fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I was just, he was talking to me on the phone about, your hair is fluffy and wispy and stuff. Well, you didn't mention that when I was sitting there. I said, I said, he said, well, I didn't want to tell you that. I said, I want to hear the bad and the good. I mean, you can tell me bad news before you do the procedure, and that's just all the good. But now I'm kind of in a situation where, I'm not really. My son said he laughed about it but I'm not into busting this guy's chops and stuff. I mean, I just think there was. I mean, I don't know whether I'm just going to be one holding the. I don't know what to really do right now. I've talked to him and I feel kind of like that other patient that went to him. You just kind of. You just kind of feel like, move on or something. And I don't know whether, what the next step I should do on this. Should I say, hey, I want my pictures. You shouldn't have lost them. It's not acceptable. So I'm in a bit of a quandary on what to do.
Well, my job is this. My job is to, and that's why we have the IHRS, is to help to act as a liaison to make sure that if these issues arise, that the patient has a place to go. And get some advice, and hopefully the situation can be adjudicated and rectified. My advice to you would be, obviously, stay fucking calm no matter what.
Okay.
And
I can do that.
Yeah, and
without medication.
Right, and you're a psychiatrist, so you should have no problem with that one. But this is you treat this as this is business, my man. At this point, you're in the business of trying to get a end result that you're happy with, and you need to get, if you believe that you need to be repaired, and if you have an assessment by another physician who then confirms that and says, you know what was claimed to have been performed on you wasn't, meaning that if there was 1,500 grafts that were supposed to be replaced, they should be able to tell approximately how many grafts grew, where the grafts were placed. Even though that was done 6 months ago, a skilled, knowledgeable surgeon will be able to see newer grafts, even though it's 6 months healing, compared to the grafts you had done by Dr. Lair and other doctors.
Okay.
So there should be some ability to take a look at that. They'll have to check your scalp under magnification, but get all your ducks in a row. And essentially, if it is the case, if everything you're saying is factual, and I believe that it is, but if it wasn't like a case where, hey, we did give you 1,500 grafts, but we placed them here, I would say you should definitely get either a partial refund or even a full refund.
Should I go to another hair replacement doctor and have him check that now? I
would get as many assessments as possible, to tell you the truth, before you even make your move. Now, you've already, kind of put out that smoke signal saying, hey, look, I'm fucked up. I don't like what happened. Now you're getting excuses about images. And again, I have to get the other side of the story. I have to hear exactly.
Yeah, and I want you to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have to get exactly what happened. Now, what you can say is you're going to have to give Dr. McGrath permission to speak with me about your case.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So,
can I just do it verbally now? Is that okay?
No.
Or I can send you an email.
You would have to send him an email.
Send me an email and I'll forward it to him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Too sweet. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great.
Yeah, and say that you want me to speak with you, and you even give Joe permission. If Joe, if he somehow wants to speak to Joe about things, that's fine. I know Joe's really busy, but whatever. We will speak to him.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate it, because now you feel kind of like, alone on this thing. So I really do appreciate that. I can't say that enough.
You're not alone. And again, I may lose some of my boozed money, but whatever. It is what it is. I started this a long time ago for a reason, and this is a specific reason. There have been some really great doctors over the years who have fucked up. There have been some great doctors over the years who have ended up, sadly, becoming alcoholics or drug addicts, or unable to continue to practice normally, or we've seen things go downhill. I'm not saying that's the case with this doctor at all, but something happened, and what I see that seems to have transpired is the infrastructure of the practice has changed significantly in the last 2 years. And that has to do with, I think, the way that they're marketing themselves, and also some of the guys, or at least one guy, that seems to be in direct contact with patients. That's the major change that I've seen.
Right.
But obviously you're unhappy with the surgery itself. And who performed the surgery? The doctor and his techs. Maybe there was a change in technicians that I'm unaware of as well.
Right.
Maybe there was some sort of miscommunication between the salesperson and the doctor.
Right.
Who the fuck knows?
Right. Yeah. Do I need to go off? Because being in Norman, Oklahoma, there aren't a lot of guys that I could go to, hair replacement doctors, that I don't even know anybody. Because when I talked to Dr. Lair, he really didn't have anybody that he recommended per se. So, what would you recommend?
Dr. Lair
can
still take a look at you.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I mean, he knows what a graft looks like.
He's the dermatologist. He was your hair transplant surgeon, and he's a true expert in this field.
Okay, great. That's a good idea. I'll call tomorrow and make an appointment with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Terrific.
All right. Well, listen, I've taken so much of your time.
You certainly have, and I'm a little disturbed by that. No, but listen, thank you so much for the call. I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. I think you could end up having, being okay. If in fact it's only 1,500 grafts, and you're thinking that there were less moved, you may be lucky that there were less moved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So do I wait to hear from you guys on this thing, or do I wait to hear from Joe on what you found out, or
you could follow up with Joe. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
but
just make sure you send the email to me with full name and
permission.
Just write out I give permission to
absolutely
Spencer Kobren, blah blah, and I'll forward on to him. And
but look, if everything, I'm going to try to make sure that I'm going to do my best to try to speak with the practice this week. If I somehow have mouth cancer or something else wrong with my tooth, then you won't be hearing from me.
Okay.
But let's hope that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If it gets bad, you can come down. I know you can see my dentist here in Norman. He's good.
Oh man, I take great care of my teeth, but it's just fucking age, man. Shit, no matter what you do, stuff happens.
Yeah. Well, you got to use the fluoride toothpaste. That helps, and you got to do the electric toothbrush, and you got to floss, and you got to. I use this stuff I get the health food store. This stuff invented by a dentist, and it's called. I think it's called Perio-Bright or something like
Dude,
that.
I wear basically headgear to go to sleep. That's how. If you saw my nightly routine to take care of my teeth, you would be like, this guy's fucking insane. But I happen to have I was a grinder for many, many years. And when you're dealing with the back teeth, like 18, 19, I still have my wisdom teeth. There's just so much pressure in those teeth after, when did your permanent teeth come in? About 6 or 7 years old? So much pressure on those teeth that you end up, no matter what you try to do, having problems.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in your 50s. But anyway.
I wish well, keep smiling.
Well, I'll do my best. And listen, if I need some free therapy, I'll give you a call.
I owe you.
All right, man, you got it.
Okay, well, thanks, guys.
And I'll take you up on that. Take care.
Okay,
thanks, Roy.
Okay, bye-bye, Roy.
Take care. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. He doesn't realize I'll bug the shit out of him.
I should have said something myself because I'm the one dealing with him for the past. It's like, shit, why didn't I think of that?
I'll be on Skype with him talking about, I'll be laying on my virtual couch talking about all my issues. Let's take another call. And guys, I'm sorry if I don't know what the problem is with if you guys can't see the stream. Everything's coming up perfectly as far as. Let me check my.
It's looking good lately. Not sure what was going on, but
the thing is, it could be YouTube handling too many live streams because I have about 180 upload right now, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, some people were saying it's fixed, but earlier it was a mix. Some people were saying it was fine. Other people were saying that it was choppy. So
it's got to be YouTube
or buffering. But yeah, it's good.
All right, let's take a call. Hey man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi. My name is Jared, and I'm from Cedar City, Utah.
Jared from Cedar City, Utah.
Out there.
Welcome.
Yeah.
We actually have a New Yorker that lives in Utah that calls in.
Yeah. He's originally from Staten Island.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How you doing, Jared?
Yeah, there's good. So I guess want to switch gears maybe a little bit here. I'm definitely a younger guy. I'm 26 years old.
Okay.
And probably for the past, 3 years, I've started to notice my hair is thinning out.
Mm-hmm.
And I call it the old man spot on the back. My crown is thinning the most.
How dare you?
But the front's doing pretty good. But I've noticed in the past 6 months, I'm starting to get pretty bad diffuse thinning.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the middle part of the head. So, I've been panicking for about 3 or 4 years now. When I first started noticing it, like in the shower, noticed hair in my hands. And I'm at the point where I've talked to about 2 or 3 dermatologists at this point, my family physician, and I'm at the point where it's like, man, I got to start taking finasteride or something to stop, before it gets real bad. And so I just wanted your guys' maybe advice on maybe a routine to get on. I'm not quite at the hair transplant stage yet, thank goodness, but what would you guys recommend maybe?
Well, here's the thing. We are both fans of early intervention. The reason I'm behind this microphone is because as soon as I went through the initial panic and the initial throes of hair loss, I was about 21 when I noticed it. You have to understand that I didn't even have these options. So you're in a good position that you have these options. When I started losing my hair, essentially I had to go to a witch doctor. They're also known as trichologists, but that was a terrible thing. Trichology has changed.
It really was.
Trichology has changed a lot, and now at least trichologists can recommend using minoxidil. They can send you to physicians who can prescribe finasteride. They have a lot more to work with. But back in the day, when I was young and dealing with hair loss, I used to consider, and I actually wrote about this in several articles, trichology as the practice of bullshit. Now that's changed. With that said, the reason I'm behind this mic is because I started using finasteride as soon as it was made known to me that Merck was testing it for the use in men who were dealing with male pattern baldness. This was about 1994 when I found out about this. This is before it was approved for hair loss. So you're asking a guy, and you're asking two guys who were big fans of the drug. Yeah. With that said, we're both not physicians. And there's a lot of guys out there, and you're going to read about it on the internet all over, who are deathly afraid of taking the drug based on some evidence that's clinical and there's real data, and a lot of what I would consider to be, and again, this is just my opinion, fear-mongering. So once somebody has a bad experience on anything, especially a drug that could affect your dick, they just go out of their fucking minds, and that's what happens. Now, if this drug affected my dick, and I'm being crude, I would have gotten off of it many, many years ago. I've been on it for well over 2 decades, and to my knowledge, it hasn't affected me. I've had no visible or appreciable adverse side effects. And the only side effect that I had, or the only effect that I've had that I know of, is it's stopped the progression of my hair loss or slowed it down significantly. Being that you've been noticing it for a while, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to talk to your doctor about using medication. And right now we know that finasteride is the only FDA-approved medication that will block the enzyme 5-alpha reductase type 2, which is what converts testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, which is thought to be a main culprit in hair follicle miniaturization. Now, that's a long way of saying if you want to stop your hair loss, you've got to get on medication.
This medication?
Yes.
Right.
Not just any medication.
So there's no regimen. Everyone's like, what regimen? The regimen is you pop a fucking pill and you hope it works for you. That's
hang on for dear life.
That's the regimen. And at least according to clinical data and from all the information that's come through this program and through all of our online resources, you got about an 86%, 87% chance, and which is high, of slowing the progression of your hair loss if you're on this drug.
Yeah, that's great odds. I mean, don't get me wrong. Believe me, I'm in college right now, and I've researched, the heck out of finasteride, and I've been on forums and all sorts of stuff and read the fear mongering, and I guess it's definitely gotten to me. That's the reason why I hadn't started taking it earlier, is because I'm so scared by, everyone saying these side effects, and, I'm not married yet either. And that's definitely important for me. I got to make sure that, things are working, so to speak.
Look,
and I've been on saw palmetto for, I've been off and on for about a year now, and I haven't. I was thinking maybe if I don't react badly to saw palmetto, maybe that's a good indication that I could go a little bit further, step it up, to the actual prescription.
It's interesting that you say that. And again, we're not physicians, but everyone believes, as I did at one point when I wrote the original The Bald Truth, because this is what was information provided to me by physicians, that saw palmetto did not have the same incidence of adverse sexual side effects as finasteride. We come to learn that it actually does. In some cases, it has a greater incidence because people, even if you're taking a standardized extract, you don't really know exactly what dosage you're taking because the FDA does not regulate even the standardization of these extracts. So this is coming from Nature's Pharmacy. What we have found out over the years is that many men who take saw palmetto or Pygium africanum or stinging nettle or anything that can lower DHT will cause the same adverse side effects as the synthesized drug or finasteride. So in my view, just out of logic and not as a physician, it makes more sense to take something that is known to be standardized and tested and to be the exact same dosage every time, as opposed to taking something from Nature's Pharmacy. That's how I feel about it. So I do think that you're probably right. If you weren't dealing with adverse side effects from saw palmetto, you probably are less likely to have side effects from finasteride. Doesn't mean that you won't, but you probably have a good shot of doing very well on it. Again, not a doctor, not giving you medical advice. That's just based on all the knowledge that I've gleaned over the years. Now, did you see any positive results from taking saw palmetto on your hair?
Oh, geez. You know what? I think so, very slightly. Nothing to really, write home about, so to speak. But I think slowed things down at the most. But to actually be like finasteride kind of results, definitely not. I've actually, like I said, I've been on minoxidil. I've tried that for I think 9 months, and then I stopped to see if it was really doing anything. And at this point, I'm sitting at the time where they say, if there was any hair that's saved by minoxidil, then it would be gone. At this point, I can definitely see that my hair has thinned out a lot in the past 2 months of not using it, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. In my view, minoxidil is really a Band-Aid. It is and again, I say this all the time. It should never be your first line of attack, even though that's what most people will, and most doctors will suggest.
Yeah, they want to go the safe route.
Well, sadly, a lot of doctors will also suggest starting on both finasteride and minoxidil. Even today, they'll do that, even though less doctors are willing to prescribe finasteride because it's just, to them, because of the psychological impact that the internet has had on so many patients, they just don't want to deal with it. So they not necessarily concerned about being sued as much as they're concerned about being nagged to death or having to deal with an unhappy patient who believes that they're impotent. So I'm not a fan of using both at the same time. Neither is Joe. I've been talking about this for 20 years. I think you have to use one or the other, and you could always add to the regime after 6 months or a year. But you're 26. You're noticing noticeable hair loss. You apparently are getting the old man patch. I'm going to file that away, by the way. But if you want to save your hair, this is really your only choice. I hate to say it. Yeah. Now, there are guys who are going to be online who are going to hear this and say, Kobren is somehow in bed with Merck. I am not. We make no money from finasteride sales of any kind. They are not sponsors of this broadcast. I'm just a guy who's done really well on the drug, and so is Joe. Even though he's had 9 hair transplants, he still uses it. And if your hair is important to you and you want to treat it, this is probably your best option currently.
Agreed.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, besides that, what's your question? Because, you asked what the regimen is going to be. There's no regimen.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor, you get a prescription, you take a pill, see what happens. That's the regimen.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what I was wondering, kind of going back to like you were saying, if I should have the minoxidil as well, kind of in the same routine there.
You already stopped it.
But
you already stopped it, and you already saw you already went through the shed.
Yeah.
So, there's no point in going back on it. You may go through an additional shed and then you stopping it again. You didn't wean off of it, which you probably should have, but you're shedding right now, or you lost some hair right now that will probably slow down in a relatively short period of time, hopefully. And my advice, again, I'm not giving you medical advice, but I would talk to your doctor about this, is if you're going to take finasteride, just take that for a while, at least 6 months to a year, and see what happens. I wouldn't jump back on minoxidil. There's at least personally, no way in hell.
Yeah. I wouldn't waste my time with it. That's just me. But I think, and by the way, I had a question about your saw palmetto use. How much were you taking? Were you taking twice a day, once a day, and how much? Like how many milligrams?
Yeah, I'm still currently taking it. I'm taking two, I guess, pill extracts of 160 milligrams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so each pill's 160, or combined it's 160?
It's probably 160 twice a day, because that's the information that was in the original The Bald Truth, and everyone fucking stole it.
Yeah.
So now if you go online and you read about saw palmetto and hair loss, it's the same fucking thing. It's like this company Hims that's all over the place. They say 66% of men lose their hair by age of 35, and then they also say that by 35, depending on the commercial, most men will be losing their hair. Where do you think they didn't even give the American Hair Loss Association the attribution for that?
Yeah.
That's the only place.
But that's where they got it.
That's where they got it. We put it out there. It is now written in stone, and everyone else in the world gives us attribution except for Hims, which is fascinating to me. But yeah, actually, we're probably going to have to contact them. But so while I wrote that, and while it was verified by a couple of physicians, Dr. Barry Sears also made a very strong suggestion that particular dosage would be beneficial, and including his own diet, which we talked about in the original The Bald Truth. And also there was an article in the Journal of the American Medical Association that indicated that was the dosage that would benefit people with benign prostate hyperplasia the most, or lower their DHT the most. I just don't see it working for hair loss, and I've made it very clear in all of my other references and resources online and throughout the years on the show that I tell people now, hey, sorry that I wrote about this 20 years ago, but things have changed, and based on all the anecdotal data we have now, there's no proof that this works for hair loss.
Right.
Yeah. So I know I just went on a tangent, but I wanted people who are listening to what you're taking to know that we don't recommend that at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess my mentality, and I'm sure a lot of other guys were, and this is what my dermatologist said too when I went to see her. She told me, take saw palmetto if you're afraid of the side effects. Take the saw palmetto, and she, this is not a prescription, obviously, but she just wrote down on a notepad, saw palmetto, and I was like, well, how much? And she's like, I can't tell you. There's really not a dose.
Yeah.
And so, like you were saying, I just followed what was on the bottle, and just to get an idea. if it does kind of work like finasteride, to get an idea if I should get on actual finasteride. And to be honest, I haven't. I guess the only thing I've really noticed was a little bit of pain downstairs, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. So I was like,
I felt like I was kicked in the balls for months when I first started taking finasteride. So
I felt like I was kicking the balls from the moment I got married, but that's a different story.
Well, that's actually true. But it has nothing to do with your wife. That's just
I know.
That's a general consensus of being married.
Yeah.
So, listen, dude, all I can tell you is this. You're losing your hair. You want to stop the progression of your hair loss. You have an option. Talk to your doctor more about that option. If she was willing to prescribe it to you initially, that means that she's willing to prescribe it, which is a good sign. Don't let your fears interfere with the possible success that you can have with this. However, be aware, with like with any drug, side effects do occur, and they can occur. But when it comes to sex, if you think you're not going to be able to get it up, you might as well just hang it up.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to happen. That's the way life is. That's the way sex works. As soon as, our mind is going in that direction, you get even the slightest surge of adrenaline, you're limp. So test it out. Consider taking the drug. You can test your nocturnal erections, things. There's all types of ways to know that there's no physical manifestation from the drug. The likelihood of you having adverse side effects is pretty slim.
Right.
Dude, I've been on it for over 20 years. Joe's been on it for close to the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And most of my contemporaries are on it. The side effects can happen, but we haven't started to read about these horror stories. I didn't start to read about the potential of long-term adverse side effects till about 2006. And that was from one specific poster who ended up creating a website about it. And then all of a sudden, all these other guys started to come in. Not all of them, but like 4 or 5 guys. And that grew into kind of this online army. I get it. If it happened to me, I would be probably the most vocal person about it.
I'd be at the front of the line.
Yeah. So I completely get it and respect these guys for their beliefs. And I'm sad for them if, in fact, they are suffering from these adverse side effects. But it's pretty rare. So that's all. We're going to take another call. That's all I can tell you. I hope we allayed your fears a little bit, but you're looking at 2 guys who've been taking the drug for a very long time.
Yeah.
But talk to your doctor about it. It is up to you. It's your decision, and it should be something that you decide with your doctor.
Okay.
All right, man?
Yeah. Just one last thing, if you guys can. Have you heard anything about finasteride, I don't know, turning a man kind of feminine and stuff like that? Have you heard anything?
There are people online that talk about this, how finasteride feminizes the body. That's not really the case. There are cases where a condition called gynecomastia can result, and it's an extremely rare condition where, as a man, your breast glands will enlarge. First, they'll be tender, and with continued use, they'll enlarge. In many cases where you feel tenderness in your breast tissue, that does subside after a few more weeks of continued use. But there are cases where it will continue to manifest into a swollen gland that can look like man tits, moobs.
I have noticed that I cry more, and I'm like really attracted to Prada, but otherwise, I don't think that's really applicable for most people.
Yeah, he has more pink shirts in his wardrobe than most men. But
yeah, look, dude, I'm 53 years old. I would say even if the chicken farmer saw me with the shirt off, he would think I was surprisingly jacked for my age.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he'd find something wrong with it.
Well, I may not be like him because I don't spend my entire life in the gym, but I can go to a pool and people would be like, "Wow, you're pretty good shape, dude." So I don't know. I mean, there has been times when I was heavier, and you always think, well, was it the drugs or was it the pizza? And I realized it was the pizza and the beer and the Jack Daniels and the Marlboro Lights.
It's amazing. It's amazing what proper nutrition will do.
Yeah. So, I mean, you will see videos of me where I'm 30 pounds heavier. I got a bloated face. I was, smoking cigars and drinking Jack Daniels. And then, you don't realize that, when people are depressed, when people are dealing with their hair loss, they're not necessarily taking care of themselves. So some people blame their gyno on the drugs, whatever. Gynecomastia is a real thing. You're going to feel it. It's not just going to be an increased size in your breast tissue.
You don't just wake up overnight and find it either.
Yeah,
so.
You actually feel the swelling, the pain. They'll have actual
you'll
nodules.
know it's happening.
Yeah, there's no question.
You'll know it's happening, and also what's unique about gynecomastia is that once that swelling does occur, it's reversible if you catch it in time. Mm-hmm. And so what I suggest to people is, I'm not a fan of riding it out, even so some doctors say ride out that pain. I would say if you're getting a lot of breast tenderness, just watch it for a while, feel around the breast tissue, make sure there's no structural change or there's no nodules. And you can wait it out a little bit, but I wouldn't wait it out too long if you start to feel pain. I would probably get off the drug. That's just me.
So unless you start calling up your girlfriend and asking her to come over to start watching Devil Wears Prada every few nights, you'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
okay, because that's the last thing I want though is I'm a manly man and I love my manhood. I don't want anything to take away from that.
Well, I mean, your junk might shrink a little bit, but if that's not a big deal, is it? I'm just kidding, dude. Relax. It's a joke. You're going to be fine. Talk to your doctor about it. Ask her what she's seen in her practice. And she's probably going to help to allay your fears.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Good luck. Let us know what you decide to do.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I've been wanting to get on and talk to you guys. This is kind of the last advice, before I take the plunge. So.
Well, dude, don't fucking blame us. We're just giving you our opinion.
Exactly.
Oh, I know. I never would.
If you get fucked up, that's on you. No, listen, you're going to be fine. I'm telling you. There's such a slim chance of having any adverse side effects. And, 99.99999% of the people who do have adverse side effects, they stop taking the drug and they are fine. It's like taking antidepressant or whatever. If you're dealing with any adverse side effects, you just get off the medication and it will reverse itself. I know there's a lot of stuff online telling you differently. There are some doctors who are, in my view, pandering to those who are in real need psychologically and who believe that they are suffering with long-term adverse side effects. So there are doctors out there making claims. If you actually look at these doctors' credentials, in most cases, they're DOs. They're not necessarily endocrinologists. They're not true experts in hormonal aspects of the body. There's just a lot of shit out there. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it's unlikely you're going to be that anomaly. That's why it's called being an anomaly. All right?
Okay.
All right. Good luck. Let us know what you decide to do.
Thank you very much, guys.
And, listen, again, you could always not take anything and just shave your head and live your life. That's probably the best thing to do. But if you want your hair, this is all we got.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good luck.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
You.
Thanks for calling.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like he's about to jump off a cliff.
That's what I was wondering. It's like there was...
Scares me.
Yeah, big long pause. I guess processing it or
You don't have to take. You don't have to take the drug, dude. You can cut your hair down and move on with your life and keep that manliness, and not even have to worry about it. That's probably the best option.
There is that. You just shave your head and move on.
Yeah. I'm just not equipped to deal with that, and my crying has nothing to do with the finasteride. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Bruxism, blue balls, man boobs, and baldness. Welcome to the party.
How are you, man? Who's this?
I'm trying. My name is Marcus from New York.
Marcus, I didn't recognize your voice. What's going on?
Hey, guys. Joe, always good to hear you. Spencer, of course, the same. To the preceding caller, hey, 26, a very vulnerable time. I was there. I know that feeling in the shower, man, when your hair is just clumped in your hands. But he has much better options today than when I was residing in the dark ages, as you were, Spencer.
Yeah.
And I concur with you. I never did the Propecia route. Looking back in hindsight, now that I'm 60, I'm basically, the senior citizen of your group, dude. I'm the elder.
You're one. You're one of the elders. There's a couple of guys. We got who do we got? We got is Morty? Morty's in his 60s, right, or is he in his 50s?
I thought he's like 63.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we got the other guy from Utah, George from Staten Island. How was he? He was.
I think he's in his 50s. I think he's like 50 something. But anyway, yeah. You're old, dude.
You're on the tribal council.
Absolutely. Absolutely. None wiser for the experience, but here I am. And in terms of the Propecia, I never got on it because, I did want to try to stay off drugs, but that's not a valid excuse. Also, at the time where it became a real factor, I had too little hair to really sustain a shed had I used Propecia and experienced a shed. That would have devastated me.
Yeah.
And then the third facet is because my dad succumbed to prostate cancer. There was that one study. I realize it was not a bulletproof data point, but even so, it weighed heavily on my head that Propecia could accelerate, depending on your genetic predisposition, could accelerate and make a more aggressive prostate cancer. So for that reason, but if I were in the shoes of that 26-year-old, I would absolutely be considering and deliberating Propecia.
Yeah.
Listen, I try not to think about it much, but I'm like, I've been on this drug for a long time. Who the fuck knows what's going on? I have no clue. I try to take care of myself. I go to my regular doctor visits. Just like my teeth. I take really good care of my teeth. I got a fucked up tooth now. I got to deal with that. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. Shit just happens. So, that's life.
I've got a dentist in Midtown, Spencer. She does not only root canals or cavities or whatever, she also injects Botox. So whatever cosmetic thing you're looking for, she'll take care of you.
It's funny. My dentist now, I actually saw my dentist at a plastic surgery conference. And I'm like, I'm like, what are you doing here? And she told me that she's getting into injectables, and I was just like, "Oh shit!" To me, that's a red flag. I mean, she's a great dentist in many ways, great cosmetic dentist. Really, always taking really good care of me. She works on, not that this makes a fucking difference, but at least she can make teeth look really good. She works on a lot of celebrities here in town. I mean, anyone you can imagine. But that fucked me up when I heard that.
Hey, listen, my dentist is also offering, what do they call it, Kybella?
Oh, my God. So they're injecting the stuff that takes the fat away under your chin. Sure.
Yeah, it's basically a bile extract for your frickin', turkey chin. I'm sorry, I don't want to be walking around with a bag of urine, at the bottom of my jaw.
Right. Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I may give it a shot in my love handles after a while. We'll see what happens.
All right. Okay, so check it out. The reason I called, not only just to check in, but also I have come full circle now. The last time we spoke, I was doing a very, very careful sort of component analysis of all sorts of alternative, quote-unquote, remedies, because I really cannot get back into the chair anymore with HT or even BHT. So be that as it may, I did the shotgun. I have a pretty good protocol at the moment, and to further enhance it, I have, as I said, gone full circle, and I returned to Dr. Joe Greco.
Nice.
Okay.
And I have to say, he has upped his game since I was last down there.
Oh yeah, now he's doing an IV stem cell thing, and what else? What else he's doing? He's doing CRP, PRP.
He's doing the Wharton's Joe. He's doing a bunch of things. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to go through the stepwise graduated course, and I re-entered with the PRP CRP matrix. And I can only say this: the effect virtually instantaneous.
It's funny that you say that because
really.
Yeah.
Listen, Joe and I go way back, and Joe is obviously not part of the IHRS. He's not a physician. He's a PhD, and he's also not a nurse practitioner. What is he? Anyway, he's able to perform most aspects of surgery.
Was he a PA?
He's a PA.
Okay.
Yeah. So. But this guy is the guy that did, at least in the U.S., the original research on PRP and hair loss. He figured it all out. And the people that seem to go to Joe, in general, seem to have the same response that you've had, Marcus. It's almost immediate as far as just the texture and the quality of their hair gets better.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
There's a cessation of hair loss within, several weeks. And it's usually pretty quick.
Well, just in terms of the visual effect and the quality and the condition of the hair, as I said, it's instantaneous. I mean, it basically is that afternoon, and certainly when you wake up the next morning, basically went to the best salon in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
what you look like. You look like, man, I got a great cut, shampoo, and blowout. And it doesn't matter if you've been swimming in the Atlantic or if he's on the Gulf side and you got, salted seawater in you or whatnot. I'm telling you, this stuff is doing something. I have to salute him. That's all I can say. Now, he has all these different treatments these days. And over the course of time, I will check back in with you, and they seem to be graduated both in terms of their properties as well as their price.
Right.
And it can climb up there. Now, frankly, for me, I'm in this thing, deep six figures already. So what the hell is a few more thousand? But, for the app.
He's got that new office, which is really nice. I mean, you started back in the day when he was out of that small place in.
He was up in Clearwater.
He was in Clearwater, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So things have definitely, moved to a great level for Joe, and I think the bottom line is helping a lot of people.
It seems that way,
yeah.
But all the same, for instance, that 26-year-old or anybody else, if Propecia, for whatever reason, is not to your liking, before you do the cut, because as we say, once you're cut, you're cut.
That's
you bleed.
Yeah.
Before you do that, I really think you owe it to yourself to go down there and get an injection or two. Seriously, because it is non-invasive, and who knows, this might be the material. Now, the entry, the gateway is $1,000. So, that's moderate for most people. handle it.
Right.
They can handle that. If you really go for the full package, which is all of it, including the IV infusion, you're looking at about 7 Gs. That's when you have to do a real cost-benefit analysis between this package versus, say, HT. And is HT going to be a permanent solution for you? Which in most cases it won't be, but all the same, you're now climbing into real money at $7,000 for a procedure that you're probably going to have to do, if not twice a year, every 9 months or so.
Right. So you're talking about $14,000 a year.
Well, I would say you could probably stretch that to say $14,000 for 18 months.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that if it works, and if people are getting results, most people will find a way to get that money.
Well, not only that, look at it this way. If it's 14 Gs a year, and if hair loss has really crippled you emotionally, socially, economically, and otherwise, you'll make that money back in spades.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
A lot of people will rip off their arm or rob a bank to get whatever they need to get to, treat their hair, maintain their hair, or get more hair. That's just a fact. I mean, I've seen people pull some serious money out of thin air so they can get a hair transplant. So, when you find a treatment that works, they'll maintain it. No question about it. And I think that especially those of the populace that don't ever want to take a pill or get cut, this is something they can do for sure, and they'll do it, no question.
Well, Joe, I defer to you in sense of probably many of the would-be patients that you see. They probably view hair transplantation as a quote-unquote permanent solution. It's one and done.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is it's not one and done. You have to factor in the high probability of a second procedure within the first few years after your first one, because they don't. I won't say rarely, but I will say they don't always get the target density in one pass, depending on where you go, and of course continued loss and or even a lack of coverage from that same first procedure. So there are several factors that go into that, but absolutely, I mean it's a misconception. A lot of clinics will tote that line as well, and I've been pushing this. Spencer's obviously been pushing this as well. That's not the case. You need to consider the fact that you're going to have a second one soon, relatively soon after the first one. And what I say is, if you have one procedure, it's guaranteed that there's a high probability of needing one in the next 5 years, for sure.
There you go. Now, one other aspect to this that I am about to embark and research, stem cells and even CRP, they're a bit of a double-edged phenomenon. They absolutely can be of great rejuvenative benefit. There can be a downside too, I believe.
Oh, people are concerned about tumor growth.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Yeah, and issues of really, adversely affecting your health. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he I don't want to say he's cavalier about it, but he's so optimistic. And let's be honest, hey, Joe's a great guy. I like Joe Greco. There's a salesperson in everyone. And he soft pedals, so it's not a hard sell by any means. But I put it to him point blank, because we were there for about 40, but he really took his time with me. God bless him. And I hit him with some point blank questions, and there were a couple in which he skirted without ignoring, but he did skirt them. He did, however, give me some references, and I'm going to be checking it. As I said, I'm going to be doing my homework in the next several months, because if I go down that path, that's the least I want to do is be putting something in my vein that, God knows, is going to turn and metastasize.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you're doing as you usually do. I mean, you didn't necessarily do it at the beginning of your unfortunate, hair transplant career. But, as you've matured, as you've been through the fucking mill, you understand what questions to ask. And for sure, I would feel the exact same way. Just like guys who are taking HGH, testosterone replacement therapy, stuff like that. Believe me, I'm 53 years old. I think about it all the time. I realize, and I see my neighbors, everyone's on TRT. I know young guys who are taking testosterone replacement therapy. I would be so fucking jacked and energetic if I took that shit. But what's going to happen in the long term? I don't know. And my main concern initially is utilizing that stuff, taking that stuff, and then losing my hair.
There you go. In fact,
and that's what all comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm counting on both of you guys that you're going to find the holy grail of penile enhancement and hair proliferation, all in one silver bullet.
Well, let me tell you something. If I can find that, I'm gone fishing. That's it. I'm going off the air with my new and improved penis and my full head of hair.
There you go. So I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, I will periodically check in with you, give you some updates.
We'd love to hear from you, man. I'm glad that you're still listening to the show, for crying out loud.
Absolutely.
No, I do not listen weekly. I do check in here and there, and there's some other things that I've learned along the way now that I am kind of, the elder of the group. And you've said this, and both of you have at least done conversations and shows tangentially about that. It's not just about the hair. It's also not just about what's between your ears, which is real important as well, but there's certain other factors in terms of etiquette and socialization and so forth I'd love to speak to you about, because I've had some real run-ins that, it's just eye-opening, and they're a lot of fun. And in future calls, we'll hit on that. But again, I'm sticking to the subject at hand, which is, hey, we all want more hair on our head, and Greco has given, if nothing else, he, along with some other things I'm doing, stabilized the situation. And in Greco's case, I really do think he's enhancing it. I'm telling you, the condition of my hair, like the next morning I woke up, it's sort of like, when you're balding and you're going into a hair loss phase, you don't want to look at the mirror. You don't even want to look at the reflection in a window.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you wake up and you see what this guy has done with an injection. So like, oh, all right. And then you want to check it out 90 minutes later just to make sure it's
a great feeling.
Real.
That alone would make guys part with their $14,000 every 18 months easily.
Look, like I've told you guys, I know somebody in my personal life who goes there a couple times a year, and the results have been nothing. I would say nothing short of miraculous, because it's significant. Really significant.
And that person in your life, Spencer, do you know where along the chain of his menu, so to speak, that person is? Because
right now, I think, and it's actually it's a woman, family member from New York. I think now she's going full on with the IV and
the full Monty.
The full Monty.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. If she'd be willing to speak with me, I'd be, privileged to have the conversation with her at some time.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
Okay.
She's very private.
Well, I hear you, but so am I. But I'm speaking on your show tonight. So.
No. Listen, this is a person. If I could twist her arm, I would. We'll see what happens.
All right. No, put it this way. For me, it's about getting the best information to those who are afflicted.
Absolutely.
Right.
I agree.
That's why I call. But in the meanwhile, hey guys, great speaking with you. I hope all the best. And you know what? We're on the verge. We're not on the verge. We're in summer now, so have a great, fun, wacky summer.
Marcus, always a pleasure, man.
You do the same, buddy.
Keep calling. Let us know what you decide to do. And I'm thrilled that you're doing so well with Greco.
Again, I'll be giving you updates and posting this and that, but all I can say is he's a guy that's going to be in my deck for a while, for sure.
And hopefully next week we can get a call from Joe from Staten Island. Really bring back the old school guys.
That'd be nice.
Either that, I'm going to go out there and
You should
go out to Staten Island. When was the last time I was in frickin' Staten Island?
Wake him up. All right, man.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus.
Easy, guys.
Take care. Good talking.
All right. Good talking to you,
guys. We're going to call it a night.
Good show.
Yeah, good show.
Good calls.
Got to get some food. Haven't had much to eat today, and
I'm starving myself.
I am
actually
starving, guys. Joe's website, hairtransplantmentor.com. Also want to thank Hair Loss Experiences for streaming this broadcast on their message forum. Joe, you can talk about Hair Loss Experiences. Let people know what it is.
I'm just going to say it's a forum with a primarily UK-based audience, but people from all over the world do sign on and join and discuss issues about hair loss and hair restoration surgically. The administrators of that website have been kind enough to let us embed and stream through their platform, so we appreciate that very much.
Can you believe there's actually a person out there in this industry that has a message forum that is willing to be so open and kind and honest and willing to work with other people like a normal person?
It's really, if you'd asked me if this would happen 5 years ago, I'd say no.
Yeah. Well, I knew this guy for a long time, and always a fucking gentleman.
I've kind of known him, but I didn't know him that well back then. But yeah,
everyone else in that side of the industry, in the forum world, holy shit.
Yeah, forget about it.
I have never experienced any other human beings in any other field, and I'm in publishing. I was on the radio for a long time. Never experienced anything like these people. The
paranoia and the backstabbing and everything goes along. It's like a soap opera.
Sick.
It is sick. It's worse than a soap opera.
Yeah. And what's scary is there are people out there who are depending on the information provided on these platforms, and some of the information is great. I'm the first one to say it, but
yeah,
God Almighty, if people really understood what was going on behind the scenes,
they'd never have a hair transplant. That's for sure.
That's true. So again, big thanks to Hair Loss Experiences for streaming this broadcast, allowing your users to get this really vital information and this honest look at hair loss and the hair loss industry. It's really important. The American Hair Loss Association, that's AmericanHairLoss.org. If you're considering surgical hair restoration, check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That's IAHRS.org. Remember, listen, we really do our best to have the most consistent, the best docs, the doctors who support our message of surgery as a last resort. But there's not a single physician who's accepted as a member of the IHRS that doesn't have at least one patient out there who doesn't believe that they've been fucked up in some way. If that made sense.
That made perfect sense.
Yeah. So surgery, guys. Once you cut, you're cut. No matter who you go to, you can go to the best guy, the guy that has the most consistent results in the world. You can be that anomaly. So if you're having surgery, if you're considering surgery, understand the entire scope and possible pitfalls of this extremely elegant and difficult cosmetic surgery to pull off. I guess that's it. thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast. Also, check out the guys from Queens at gfqlive.tv or guysfromqueens.com. They are the syndicators of this broadcast. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.